You're welcome back, and apologies for that short break, technical glitch there. But we're back to talking Kano education reform in Kano State, and we have with us Mr. Haladu Mohammed from the state. Mr. Mohammed, can you hear me now?
I can hear you well.
All right, excellent. Okay, I asked the question just before the break around earlier this year, the governor inaugurating a 14-man committee to review some education policies in the state, some of which were the gender equity policy, the social inclusion policy, non-state school policy, and teacher development policy. What's the update on that? What progress has been made, and has execution started? I believe the committee must have made recommendations to the governor, and hopefully there have been outcomes and execution. What's the update on that, please?
Yeah, so a lot is happening. That's part of the surgical operations His Excellency is trying to make sure the education system is brought back on track. You know, it suffered seriously in the past 8 years before him. So new policies were needed to make sure things happen. Take, for example, we found number of teachers in the schools was lower than needed. Their quality was lower as well. So we needed to get more teachers back to work. But the process being adopted earlier, before our arrival, left a lot of room for improvement. How you recruit teachers, you make sure you recruit the right ones with the right qualifications, in the right areas, going to the right places to teach, with the right tune of mind to make sure that they do what they used to do. So to make sure the recruitment process goes well, the deployment process goes well, that, for example, gave rise to the policy on teacher development. In that policy, for example, we need to make sure no matter what happens, you test those you are recruiting. You make sure, remember in the past, we used to have situations where teachers were recruited from urban areas, urban Kano, and sent to local government rural areas to teach. And they don't to go. Many of them have come from duties, and they don't like really going to the rural areas to teach. That policy now corrects that situation. It ensures that teachers are recruited from their own areas to make sure they are from that area. They know that area better. They know their people. They are identified as leaders in those societies and so on. So some of those corrections to make sure recruitment is very objective, that only the right people get the job, is part of what those policies are addressing. I can tell you, for example, we have commenced serious implementation of those policies. Right now, as we speak, close to about 13,000 new teachers have been recruited by His Excellency, and that policy was applied. We made sure that the right tests were administered, the right people from the right localities were targeted and brought on board. Okay. So we are said we are really implementing those policies. We are paying attention, for example, to the girl-child education. We want to make sure no girl is left behind. Remember the fundamental vulnerabilities of girls in rural areas, from poor families, and especially disabled. So we apply that to make sure in our enrollment campaigns, in whom we bring to the classroom, those are identified, those are specially targeted, and we make sure those right things are done. So all of those policies, we are logically implementing them. His Excellency, the Governor, has given us strict directives to make sure that those right things are done to make sure the education is brought back to its state of health.
Okay, good to have you, sir. The truth is, we can talk about all of this all we want, but without data, we are nowhere. So I'd like to know the data set from you. What's the number of out-of-school children in Kano, both boys and girls? What's the number of teachers we have to be able to equip this or to fight this problem? Secondly, there are communities in Kano. There's one I learned of called Danshaye community that for about 300 years, girls are not graduated from secondary school. What's the story now in Danshaye community? you know. So if we can get some of these data sets, out of school children in Kano, number of boys, number of girls, number of teachers, and I raised a question about Danshire community in Kano where they said no girl has graduated secondary school in the last 300 years. What's the state now? Are things a whole lot better in Danshire?
Thank you, Rufai. We are very serious in this state with data. As I speak to you now, we are concluding the current year's annual school census. But I can confidently tell you the figures we have at hand, for example, indicate that we have over about 980,000 out of school children. Close to 56% of those are girls. We currently have like 35,000 teachers, but we need 71,000 teachers to operate. So you can see we have a gap of close to 36,000 teachers, out of which, as I said earlier, the governor from coming now has recruited close to 13,000. And we are on the march to make sure that those deficits are matched. We have over 5 million children enrolled between primary school and senior secondary school system. In our primary school system alone, we have over 4,100,000 pupils. Because of that, if you match the number of teachers we have and the ones we need, with the children we have, you will see a huge gap in how many children per teacher. We are running now, in many cases, at about 100 kids per teacher. And so we need to really move fast to make sure that we have the required number to lower that rate. Yes, the Danshire school community you are talking about, that's exactly the kind of thing I was telling Doctor earlier in his question about building new things when we have a lot to handle. In those, it's not just the Danshire community. We have identified a number of communities where probably they only have a primary school. So in those communities, when you finish primary school, the nearest secondary school to you, the nearest junior secondary school to you is so far that girls don't attend. They cannot attend. So you have only the boys taking it out to go to those junior secondary schools, but the girls, because of the distance and all of that. But I assure you, a brand new junior secondary school is just being finalized in that area. And we have identified several other places where in those hard-to-reach communities that had been suppressed for a long time, unable to find the next level of schooling after primary or secondary school, we are coming up with new schools. That refers to also the earlier question asked by Dr. Abati about a polytechnic being built in Gaia when we have those issues. So these are the issues that we are trying to address, identifying those gaps, those areas where access is not necessary for now. I mean, it's not available for now, either because of distance or unavailability of schools, and we try to plug those gaps.
Okay, Mr. Haladu, I mean, the figure you gave, very close to the figure given by UNICEF in January, 989,334, but you were very close to it. But UNICEF summarized in their report that 32% of children of primary school age in Kano State are out of school. 32%, that's quite high. Now, these are Majiri children. Since 1959, I always say, Northern leaders have been trying to address the challenge of education. Here we are, 2025. In Kano State alone, 32% of the children are out of school. Apart from capacity building, providing funds, 2.8 billion naira, what else is Kano State government doing to deal with the issue of poverty and also cultural reasons? I do not assume that those Majiri children, they will just flock into the schools once the schools are built and provided in their communities. What is government doing about poverty and cultural-related issues? Cultural-related issues.
Thank you, Doctor. Actually, if we just allow, like you just build structure and you allow the Almajiris to plug into it, it might even do more damage than you have to prepare that ground. You have to enable it. So, for example, some of those almajiris are above the school age. Some are not just 6, they are 10, they are 12, some are 15. So you don't just build a school and then you bring a 15-year-old or a 12-year-old to get into primary 1. That's really not the issue. You have to prepare well. And you remember, the federal government has already made some provision for an accelerated basic education program. That program puts every child at his right place. Take, for example, you can have an almajiri of 10 years old, have not been to school, but Dr. Abati, don't be surprised, that guy can save your name on his phone properly. He can send you a text message, meaning he has picked somehow how to read and write, not necessarily from the 4 walls of the classroom. So you don't put that in primary 1. It has to be a system that gets him at his level and continue from there. And that's the accelerated basic education program. Kano State government is set to already, that program is being implemented in a number of pilot local governments and pilot communities. We are now designing a statewide escalated accelerated basic education program that will put the almajiri children you are talking about at their appropriate places. Some are good to start, well, for those conversant with the accelerated basic education program, you have 3 levels instead of 6 primary levels. So you get students into level 1 or level 2 or level 3. So they can start from level 1 and move to level 2 and to level 3 onwards. Some may even come at the level 2 directly and then move to level 3 and so on. And when you come to the pathways thereafter, students can be academic and some may not be. So even when they complete the equivalent of a basic education level, some can continue to higher levels of education, so they can be academic. But some require only skills to survive, to be productive in the society. Kano State government has established more than 26 skills-based institutes.
That's really
some
fantastic
are for
to hear.
agriculture, fisheries, some poultry,
Mr.
and so on.
Mohammed.
So we are going to channel, or we are channeling those who are good with skills into the appropriate skills they choose, and those who are good with academics into the academics, and they continue their journey into education.
That sounds
to the highest possible level.
That sounds
so
great.
Those are the ground level arrangements done by the government to make sure we mop up the out of school.
That's really good to hear. Well, Mr. Mohammed, I'm so sorry.
Quickly about the out of school.
We are out. Okay, in one sentence, because that's a very just to wrap up your thoughts. You wanted to say one thing about the out of school children, just very quickly as we wrap up this morning.
I just want to bring out something that is hidden, not many know. The out of school children number, like Dr. Abati said, coming from UNICEF, if you look at that number, it increases from year to year. Why should it increase? Because the rate of increase in our population is such that if you are not enrolling primary 1, in excess of that number that is naturally increasing in population, you always have a positive balance that will add up to your out-of-school children.
Okay, all right.
That will not be addressed from enrollment. That will be addressed from like family planning activities.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Yes.
From enlightenment in communities and so on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time with us today. We look forward to seeing the outcomes based on some of the reforms that the Kano State government is currently doing in the education sector. Thank you.